I love Christmas films and I'm a really big fan of Fred Astaire, so I was really looking forward to the man in the Santa Claus suit. And I'm really pleased to say that I actually really thoroughly enjoyed this. It's a 1979 film directed by Corey Allen, written by George Kirgo and Leonard Gersh, and we have Fred Astaire playing, well, many characters. Primarily, he plays somebody who owns a costume shop who rents out these Santa Claus suits to various individuals, but he also pops up in the film in various different other roles as well. I think my favourite one is the jeweler. I love the jeweler. I love the scenes in the jewellery store. There was just something about that character and those scenes that I found to be, really sweet. But what happens is we follow these three different men dressed as Santa Claus doing various different things. And I don't actually want to go into that much detail about the three things that they get up to because I don't want to spoil too much of it, but we definitely have a theme of poverty and extreme criminal measures. Somebody who is not being a very good father and taking his work before his son, and a few various other things. And there is, of course, a proposal, which is why we have the jewellery store. And it's all about these different lives, these three different lives, wearing basically the same costume, and the things that they get up to on Christmas Eve. And I thought that was a really fun concept, and I really enjoyed it. And I have to say, I really liked the character that Fred Astaire was playing because, well, I don't want to give too much away about his character, but he's there to guide these men on their journey and to help them to reach changes that will help them to lead a better life. And that's what their individual stories are about. Now, ordinarily, I don't like films where it's not quite an anthology film, but where we have different stories that are not properly connected and where the main characters don't always meet. Although they did here, because the men were all in the department store at the same time, which I thought was a really clever thing to do. But I actually found it to be very entertaining. It's quite festive. We have, just randomly, every now and then, we have these carolers walking around singing carols. And it's kind of random, but it's beautiful. And the soundtrack is wonderful. And we actually have some really great musical numbers in this from my favourite family. I love the scenes with the Daytons. I can't explain too much about how this family comes into it, but we meet the Dayton family. They have two very bratty little kids who have already opened their Christmas presents, and they're ungrateful and horrible, but they're great fun to watch. And their parents, Dora and Dickie, were former performers, and they actually do various musical numbers, very low-key musical numbers in this film, including one of my favourites, Row, 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 which is a song I love. When I watched 2 Weeks with Love, sung by Debbie Reynolds, I fell in love with it then. Really enjoyed their performance here. And they also mentioned Fred Astaire, which I just thought was just a very brief, fleeting mention. I think Dora says something like, "We weren't Fred and Ginger," or something. And it just amused me a lot. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Really great mix of personalities. Fred Astaire's character is brilliant. It's got enough Christmas in it to feel like a Christmas film, which sounds like an obvious thing to say, but there are some Christmas films that use the word Christmas to market the film and they have next to nothing in them. But I really enjoyed it. Really well done. Quite well shot. The scenes in the elevator I found to be very well shot. And also that elevator just is not something I would get in. It didn't look like it was trustworthy. But I enjoyed it a lot. Fred Astaire was obviously brilliant in it. Definitely one that I would recommend if there's a reason, either if you're a fan of Christmas films or you like Fred Astaire or you just like 70s films. I actually do not watch 70s films, like hardly ever. I think of the thousands of... I've reviewed over 1,000 feature-length films on my channel to date, and I think less than 30 are from the 70s. So I'm really glad to have another 70s film there, and one that I really enjoyed. Needless to say, The Man in the Santa Claus Suit is definitely one that I recommend.